Hello friends, uh, today I'm going to cover matching statement type of questions in Ielts reading. So in almost all the readings which are coming nowadays, there is this section is there. So there are some tips which I want you to understand before attempting these questions. The first is you should underline the keywords. Underline the keywords in all the given statements. Keywords in all the given statements. So these are your statements here, which I'll be underlining. Okay. So I think we should do this because we are suggesting. So one thing you should be, you should note and be, you may use any letter more than once. So therefore, of course, we'll have to use because there are just 4 researchers and there are 5 statements. So we'll have to use. Now, underlining means domestication. Okay, certain plants allow, adapt to future environmental challenges. So these are my keywords which will help me in locating the answer. Domestication is meaning that animal is wild, and if it is brought into a place where humans live, then it is domesticated. Domestication of certain plants, it's not animals but plants, allow. Adapt means to change. Adapt means to change according to the circumstances, to future environmental challenges. Now, second is the idea of growing and eating unusual plants may not be accepted on a large scale. So we have the idea of growing and eating unusual plants which are not normally found, unusual. So may not be. This is may not be accepted. It may not be accepted. This idea may not be accepted on a large scale. The 21st we have, it is not advisable for the future direction of what? Of certain research to be made public. So certain not advisable that you in the future direction of if you have certain research, you should make it public. Present efforts to domesticate one wild fruit are limited by the cost involved. So they are limited. So the efforts to domesticate one wild fruit, they are limited because of what? Because of the cost involved. Humans only make use of a small proportion of the plant food available on earth. So if you have 100 available on earth, you're using just say 10 or 15, 20. So you're using a very small proportion. And these are the 4 authors. So I have done the first work, which I have done, underline the keywords in all the given statements. Now put a round circle around the given names. So these are the names. So given names in the passage. Okay, round circle around the given names in the passage. For this, now let me move down, and so now we have to do skimming. Skimming means not reading but just looking for names. So I have no names of persons. I have no name for any person. Then I have, this is the first, George Kudla. So we can. I normally what I suggest is I make a round because underlining we do so many things. George Kudla at the university. Okay, then we have next one is price maze. We have sales. So we have Exia Gao. So this is our second one, Exia Gao. Then let's move further, and we don't have any names in this one. No names, and in this one, for instance, tomato diversity, no names. Then in this one again, we don't have any. We have to skim. We don't have to take too much time, please. Okay. Then we come Kudla's team. So team, but team I would not say because I have to find out what one the person has said. So I won't mark this. Then I'll go down, and again I don't have any names here. Again, this is says Kudla. So this means one person Kudla is saying. So we have to. Okay. wild tomatoes, and then we have no name here. Then we have this name, Joyce Van Eck. And look further down, uh, no name of this. Then we have, again we have team. So I'm not marking team, but I'll mark this, Van Eck. So I have to see this side as well as this side. She adds. Okay. Now we have Jonathan Jones. Say Jonathan Jones. So I think we have marked all. Let's see if we have any more down below. Okay. Says Gao. So we should, wherever it is. And we have Kudla here. So I hope we have marked all. Now we go back to our tips. So we have put a round circle. If a name is at several places, so we found Kudla was at 2 or 3 places, we marked all. We have to mark all. So now start reading from the first name in the passage by underlining keywords. We have underlined the keywords of the statements. Now we have to start reading from the first name. So let us move to the passage. And the first name is here, George Kudla. So we have to read here. So what do we say? This could transform what we eat, says University of Munster. There are 50,000 edible plants in the world. There are 50,000. But 90% of our energy comes from just 15 crops. This means we are using a very small proportion of the crops for getting our energy. Now let's come to the keywords here. Domestication of certain plants could allow, no. Environmental, nothing about this. Idea of growing, unusual, no. There is nothing about unusual. Not advisable for the made public, research, no. Present efforts to domesticate one wild food, no. Cost. Humans make use of a small proportion of the plant food available on earth. Yes, of course, because it says 50,000 edible plants, but 90% of our energy comes from just 15 crops. So this means we are using a very small proportion. So we have the answer sheet, but here we'll mark, we are going to mark A. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. We can now mimic the known domestication course of major crops like rice, maize. Okay, this is said by Kexia Gao of the Chinese in this. Then we might try to domesticate plants. We might domesticate that have never been domesticated. So let us see. Domestication is very important. Here we have domestication of certain plants. Okay, but we don't have anything about environmental challenges. We don't have, domesticate. Present efforts to domesticate one wild fruit. There's not mention of one wild fruit. Okay, and no mention of cost. So we'll have to move further, but remember that this is something about domestication is said by Gao. Okay, let's move further down, and we have the next name. We have Kudla. And Kudla says they are quite, because there could be, two statements by one author. So they've already mentioned here. So they're quite tasty, a little bit strong and very aromatic. They means the wild tomato. So tasty and bit strong. I don't think we have any choice like this, tasty and strong. So let's move forward. Let's come to John Van Eck. So it says decided to use the same approach. This fruit looks similar. So nothing, no statement. Let's go further down, Warnock. So here Warnock's team, and then there is potential for this to be a commercial crop. So ground cherries, there is potential. There is potential for it to be a commercial. It can be made a commercial crop. But she adds, now what she adds, that taking the work further would be expensive because of the need to pay for a license for the technology. So now we have, let's go to the first one because domestication was there earlier, and domestication of certain plants. So plants could be ground cherries, could allow them to adapt to future environmental challenges. No, this doesn't come. So let's see here. Present efforts to domesticate one wild fruit. The wild fruit is ground cherries. Okay, are limited by the costs involved. Costs, because here she says, but she added taking the work further. Taking the work further would be expensive because of the cost. Need to pay for license because of the cost. Certainly now, this is the answer. So what are you going to mark? We are going to mark C for this. C. So this has been mentioned by C. Little bit. Now let's go to the next one. Jonathan Jones. What does Jonathan Jones mention? We have Jonathan Jones, but it will be hard for. This is the statement. But it will be hard for new foods to grow so popular with farmers and consumers that they become new staple crops. So something about hard for new foods to grow so popular with farmers and consumers. So these two have been marked. Let's see, not advisable, certain research to be known, nothing of this sort. The idea of growing and eating. So idea of growing and eating, okay. Unusual plants may not be accepted on a large scale. So here it is large scale, new foods to grow so popular. So if they do not become so popular, then this means they cannot grow to a very large scale. So this seems to be the answer. But here again, what you can do is you should remember. I'll see further and then I'll confirm it. So you can write here. This is given by Jones. So D. Okay, we say D for Jones. Now let's move further. Now we have Gao. So what does this say? It says the three teams already have this by choosing wild plants that are drought or heat tolerant. Says Gao, we could create crops that will thrive. Thrive means they will grow even as the planet warms. So something about the environment. So Gao we earlier mentioned in that Gao mentioned domestication. So we have domestication and could allow them to adapt, means change to future environmental challenges. So future environmental challenges are planet warms. So it could create crops that will thrive. Thrive means, let's say, adapt. Okay, that will grow. So this is of course 19th is of course Gao, and that is B. So 19th is we can write here B. Now we have one more. This is 21st. So let's see here. But Kudla didn't want to reveal which species. He didn't want to reveal which species were in his team's sites because CPISR has made the process so easy, and one with the right skills could go to the lab and do this. So he didn't want to reveal which species were in his team sites. He wanted to hide. He didn't want to reveal. So we have, it is not advisable for the future direction to be made public. Of course, he didn't want to reveal means to the public. So this has to be A. So students, this is the way you should attempt matching statements, and I believe nowadays this type of question is coming in almost all the reading tests. And if you follow this strategy in the way I have described it to you, you'll surely get all correct. And if you've liked this video, please like it and subscribe it, share it with your friends, and in future I'm going to come up with more useful videos. Thank you.